The Wolf, the Fox, and the Ape. The wolf charged the fox before the ape as judge with having stolen some meat that he had put by. The case was long and angrily contested, and the ape, having heard all that was to be said on both sides, announced his decision as follows. You, Master Wolf, in spite of your complaints, do not appear to me to have had anything to lose, but I am forced to admit that you, Master Fox, have certainly stolen what is laid to your charge. Lesson: the dishonest get no credit. The lion, the fox, and the ass. An ass and a fox were rambling through a forest one day when they were met by a lion. The fox was seized with great fear and, taking the first opportunity to getting the ear of the lion, the fox, and the ass. An ass and a fox were rambling through a forest one day when they were met by a lion. The fox was seized with great fear and, taking the first opportunity of getting the ear of the lion, thought to obtain his own safety at the expense of that of his companion. Sire, said he, yonder ass is young and plump, and if your majesty would care to make a dinner of him, I know how he might be caught without much trouble. There is a pitfall not far away into which I can easily lead him. The lion agreed, and seeing the ass securely taken, he began his dinner by devouring the traitorous fox, reserving the ass to be eaten at his leisure. Lesson: traitors receive no consideration, even from those whom they serve. The wolf and the shepherds. A wolf, chancing to pass a shepherd's hut, saw some shepherds making merry over a joint of mutton. A pretty row, quoth he, would these men have raised if they had caught me at such a supper. Lesson: men are apt to condemn in others the very thing they themselves practice. The Village Quack. A waggish, idle fellow in a country town, being desirous of playing a trick on the simplicity of his neighbors, and at the same time to put a little money in his pocket at their cost, advertised that he would on a certain day show a wheel carriage that should be so contrived as to go without horses. By silly curiosity, the rustics were taken in, and each succeeding group who came out from the show were ashamed to confess to their neighbors that they had seen nothing but a wheelbarrow. Lesson: what artful knavery one half of the world would impose upon the folly of the other. The Fox and the Mosquitoes. A fox was being tormented by a swarm of mosquitoes. When another fox offered to shoo them away, the first fox declined. They will only be replaced by a hungrier swarm, he said. I had rather the full one stay. Lesson: better a lesser problem than a worse one. The Goatherd and the Goats. During a snowstorm in the depth of winter, a goatherd drove his goats for shelter to a large cavern in a rock. It happened that some wild goats had already taken refuge there. The man was so struck by the size and look of these goats, and with their superior beauty to his own, that he gave to them all the food he could collect. The storm lasted many days, and the tame goats, being entirely without food, died of starvation. As soon as the sun shone again, the strangers ran off and made the best of their way to their native wilds. Ungrateful beasts, cried he, is this the way you reward him who has served you? How do we know, replied the last of the departing flock, that you will not forsake your new friends in time of need, even as you forsook your old ones? So the goatherd had to go goatless home, and was well laughed at by all for his folly. Lesson: be true to your own. The Hen and the Swallow. There was once a foolish hen who sat brooding upon a nest of snake's eggs. A swallow, perceiving it, flew to her and told her what danger she was in. Silly creature, said she, you are hatching vipers. The moment they see the light, they will turn and wreak their venomous spite upon you. Lesson: beware the consequences of your actions. The Power of Fables. Demades, a famous Greek orator, was once addressing an assembly at Athens on a subject of great importance, and in vain tried to fix the attention of his hearers. They laughed amongst themselves, watched the sports of the children, and in 20 other ways showed their want of concern in the subject of the discourse. Demades, after a short pause, spoke as follows: Ceres one day journeyed in company with a swallow and an eel. At this there was marked attention, and every ear strained now to catch the words of the orator. The party came to a river, continued he. The eel swam across and the swallow flew over. He then resumed the subject of his harangue. A great cry, however, arose from the people. And Ceres? And Ceres, they cried. What did Ceres do? Why, the goddess was, and indeed she is now, replied he, mightily offended that people should have their ears open to any sort of foolery, and shut to words of truth and wisdom. Lesson: learn to listen wisely. The Peacock and the Crane. The peacock, spreading his gorgeous tail, stalked up and down in his most stately manner before a crane, and ridiculed him for the plainness of his plumage. I am robed like a king, said he, in gold and purple and all the colors of the rainbow, while just look at your plain coat. Tut, tut, said the crane, which is the better now, to strut about in the dirt and be gazed at by children, or to soar above the clouds as I do? Lesson: do not mistake beautiful looks for a noble character. The Moon and her Mother. The Moon once begged her mother to make her a gown. How can I, replied she, there's no fitting your figure. At one time you're a new moon, and another you're a full moon, and between whiles you're neither one nor the other. Lesson: there is no pleasing the fickle.